What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be doing a Q&A. I asked a bunch of people on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube to throw some questions at me that I could answer for a Q&A video. So I'm going to go ahead and answer a lot of those questions, but I won't waste any more of your time. Let's get straight to the questions.
Look, I just flipped the switch.
So just a disclaimer here, all these questions are not in a specific order, so I'm just going to answer them how I wrote them down for the video. So the first question that I wrote down was, you ever want to have your own shop? Now, I think that is a huge goal for a lot of barbers, is to, physically call something theirs. I myself, that is of course in the heart of every barber. But the thing that I'm more concerned with at this point is just building up the brand I'm trying to create, which is Jayblends, and just to build, the channel a lot more. So that is where a lot of my focus is right now. So as far as having a shop, I don't really see that as a complete goal in like the foreseeable future, like 5 years, because I enjoy my place in the shop that I work at. I enjoy the people that I work with, and I enjoy the freedom of not having to, be the person in control over, everything. I've been a supervisor in different positions before. It is something that's very difficult and time consuming to oversee so many people. And I have 3 kids of my own, and becoming, a shop owner, you got to deal with a bunch of different, characters and personalities and egos, and that's just something that I'm not really all there for. But eventually, somewhere later on down the line, of course, that is going to be a huge goal of mine, is to have my own shop. So I hope that answers that question for you. The second question is, how long did it take before you started to feel confident in your skills? And I want to say that it didn't take me long to feel confident in my skills, but looking back retrospect now, I could see where I had a lot of flaws in my technique and my skill set. But I've always been just a confident person in general. And I think when I first started cutting hair, I was very arrogant and conceited. So I always had this like confidence about me. So everything I did, I always felt like it was great. So, that could be a bad thing and a good thing at the same time. You gotta find that balance with confidence, because confidence could, it could be steered in a negative area to where it's arrogance, and you don't want to be arrogant. You want to be confident. So how long did it take? I want to say probably it took me maybe after the 10th haircut to feel some type of confidence in my skill set. But it was, I don't want to say a false confidence, but it was just an overconfidence in my skill set. Now I'll tell you straight up, I feel confident in my work, but there's always room to learn. There's always room to get better. There's always room for more things to be taught to me. And that's one thing that I always pride myself on, is to not be too confident that you can't receive new information. You always want to be able to receive new information. So it took me a very short time to feel confident, but that's just something that I feel like you're either born with or you're not. You could develop confidence, but a lot of people, they're just born with that confidence. And I think that that's just something that you have or you don't. And I will say, if you're in this career field as being a barber, being in the public eye, being a public figure, I feel like you need to have confidence in order to make sure that your books are full, make sure that you're getting appointments, make sure that you're getting clients, because people won't go to a person who's not confident. People are not going to go to somebody who's second guessing themselves. So you want to maintain that confidence. Whether you're putting out chili bowls or what have you, have some type of confidence and be in control of the situation at the moment, be in control of the haircut, and just show somebody that you know what you're doing, or you think you know what you're doing. Because you fake it till you make it. But that's just my review on the career field and confidence, how that plays a part in this career field. So just take that with a grain of salt, and I hope you have confidence as you're progressing in your barbering career. The third question is, what was your biggest obstacle to be at the point you are now? Now, I'll honestly say that the biggest obstacle would have to be being a father and a husband, and going to school, and also trying to make ends meet, trying to pay rent, bills, and all that stuff. That was very difficult at the very beginning. When I first started, I was working full-time at Sam's Club, overnight stocking, and going to school full-time during the day. And also, you know, you got to go home, you got to be a father, you got to be a husband. So that was a very difficult thing. And at the very beginning, I wasn't really making a lot of money. So my wife, you know, took on that responsibility to be the provider while I was in school. She was more so the breadwinner than I was. So, you know, and that was hard for her, I'm sure, as a wife. But I just told her, you know, stick it out, just wait. You know, I'm gonna make this happen. And I had confidence that I would build clientele, that I would get the ball rolling. And eventually, you know, I did. And now my wife is a stay-at-home wife, stay-at-home mom. She's able to be at home with our kids, take care of them during the day, be with my 1-year-old and my 4-year-old and my 8-year-old. So it's a huge blessing to be able to provide for my family now. But the biggest obstacle was just those early times, going to school, work, being a father, and being a husband. That was, you know, that's a lot for a man to balance all at once. But, you know, struggle, it will make you stronger. So, you know, just get through the struggle, you'll get to where you need to get to in life, and you'll be a lot more wiser, and you'll be a lot more equipped to handle battles later on down in life. But hopefully that answers that question for you. Number 4 is, how long have you been cutting? So I've been cutting, I want to say like 10 years. You know, when I was in the military, I would chop people up here and there, you know, in the barracks or at home or what have you. These by far were not the greatest haircuts ever. These were, you know, very amateur haircuts, you know, done with, you know, some Walmart clippers or some not so expensive clippers, not professional tools. But that passion was sparked, you know, early in my life. You know, my mom cut our hair, me and my brother's hair growing up our entire life. So I think that's, you know, that might be where a lot of the passion sprung up. And then I had a cousin who cut all through, you know, a lot in high school, and he always cut my brother's hair and a lot of our family's hair. So seeing him, you know, that sparked more of an interest. So I would say professionally, I've been cutting now. I got licensed in 2017, and I started school in 2015. So 2015 was that point where, you know, I was chopping on a regular. That's when I really started to develop a skill set, I would say. 10 years I've been playing with the clippers, but 5 years I've been, you know, really dedicated to the craft. The 5th question is, what was the most challenging cut or design you ever had to do? Now, I want to say that the most challenging cut I ever had to do was it was a shear cut. Like the guy wanted all shears, no clippers, no edgers, no nothing. And he wanted a haircut. He wanted his hair cut, but he didn't want it to look like a haircut. Now, this mind boggled me. I didn't understand like how he wanted it to look. And so essentially he just wanted, you know, the length cut off all the way around. He wanted it messy still. He wanted it to look shorter, but not, you know, so well groomed that it's so cosmetic. So I mean, that was probably hands down one of the difficult haircuts that I had to do. And this guy comes in once a month, and he still comes to this day. So I mean, I think I'm doing something right. But that was by far one of the most nerve-wracking haircuts I ever had to do. And it's funny because, you know, they didn't have to do with clippers or design or anything. It was just, you know, straight shear work, and that was the hardest haircut that I ever had to do. And I wouldn't even know how to explain or even, you know, related to what type of haircut you could see out and about. It's just, this guy came in, he wants his hair shorter, but he doesn't want it to look well groomed. So I mean, that right there is really hard for me, because everything that I do is like so geometrical and precise, and, you know, and that's something that was hard for me, is like, you know, no edge up, no clippers, you don't want to blend, you know. So that was really hard, but we got it done, and he still comes back to this day. So that's a win in my book. Number 6, whose hair did you first cut, and what style haircut was it? Now, I want to say that the very first person whose hair I cut was my little brother, and I had did a nape tape on him, and that was probably the very first haircut I ever did. Not the most difficult thing, but also not the easiest. You know, a bald neck taper is not something just simple that anybody can do. But I remember that was the very first haircut I did, and he was the first person that I cut. And then after that, you know, just a lot of other people like roommates and colleagues, co-workers when I was in the military that were, you know, game to let me cut their hair. But the seventh question is gonna be, out of all the things that you could be doing, what made being a barber your passion? So that right there, I would have to say is the freedom to do what I want, you know, when I want, you know, and how I want to do it, how I want to run, you know, my business. And also not to have, you know, authoritative figures over me. You know, I am in control of my paycheck. I am in control of my schedule. I am in control of everything that I do. Now coming out of the military, I was in for 5 years, and, you know, basically in the military, you're told how to do, what to do, when to do it, you know, who to do it with. So transitioning from that type of environment to barbering, you know, that made me fall even more in love with the craft and want to be able to do this. And the first place that I went to, the first barbershop I went to, my first duty station, which was in Dover Air Force Base, Delaware, I went into that shop, I sat there, I listened to, you know, people arguing over sports and politics and just music, and I fell in love with that culture and that vibe, and that really just, you know, sparked more of a passion for something that was already, you know, a little flickering flame that was there, you know, that just put gasoline on it and just made that passion burn even harder. So, and a lot of those people at that shop that I used to get a haircut at on the East Coast in Delaware still follow me on Instagram to this day and Facebook, you know, and I think that's very dope, you know, it's insane, you know, how small the world can be, you know, through a craft like barbering. So that's the biggest reason I would say that barbering is my passion. And, you know, honestly, I love planes. Planes, like, were a huge part of my life for 5 years. It was hard to, you know, really juggle what I wanted to do. But in the past, you know, 5 years, I was able, since I got out of the military in the past 5 years, I've been able to work with planes still. I was a station manager for an airline company here in Amarillo, Texas, while I was barbering full-time as well. And, you know, I got to be around planes and get my feel for it. And then after that job, I went back overseas to Afghanistan as a civilian contractor and worked my military job, but on the civilian sector out there. And I was able to be a supervisor out there too. But, you know, I wasn't really feeling that either. You know, I still wanted to be around the Clippers. I missed the shop vibe. So, you know, that right there showed me that even though I love to be around planes and work with planes and logistics, that even when I was put in that position, I didn't have a love for it like I have a love for being in the shop. So that right there just showed me, you know what, I'm just gonna go all in. I'm not gonna try to, you know, have little jobs on the side. I'm just gonna push forward and just give it all I got for barbering, because, you know, that's what I love. But the number 8 question is, what is your favorite haircut? My favorite haircut at the moment is gonna be waves with beards. You know, beard work and waves, like, that's like 2 of the dopest things that you can be creative with as a barber. You know, I love sculpting beards. I love sharp, precise edge ups, and I love the look of waves, and also, you know, just the gradiency you can get in tapers, high tapers with waves. So wave cuts with beards right now have got to be like the number 1 haircut that I enjoy doing right now. Number 9, what barbers do you look up to? Now, for this question, I'm gonna say that there's gotta be 3, no, I would say like 5 main barbers that I look up to. Now, the first barber that I look up to is gonna be Vince the Barber. You know, I've always followed a lot of his work. I've seen him in a lot of, you know, Timothy De La Ghetto's vlogs. Vince the Barber's Filipino, and it was just, you know, really awesome to see, you know, Asians progressing in you know, in that type of culture and environment. And now he's cutting NBA players up. He's got his own shop. He's got like his own mobile backpack, like workstation for barbers. So that right there, that was pretty dope to me. I've always, you know, enjoyed seeing his work. Super crispy barber. But the second barber that really I look up to a lot is Chris Bosio. And not just from a barber standpoint, but from a business standpoint. He has so many, you know, great tips on, you know, how to be financially where you need to be, and it's much more deeper than just, you know, a pair of clippers with Bossio. It's like business. You know, you dive into, you know, his family life and how he interacts with his coworkers. So that right there, you know, just his transparency as a barber, that's something I look up to a lot. The third barber I look up to has got to be Get Beam. Like I said, waves and beards, those are the dopest things, like, to me right now as far as haircuts are. And Get Beam kills every one of those haircuts that he puts out. So if you're not subscribed to his channel, you know, go check out Get Beam on YouTube. Go check out Chris Bossio on YouTube. They are dope barbers that, you know, you can learn a lot from. And then the fourth barber that I would say that I look up to would have to be Los Cutted. Now, Los Cutted, you know, he is like good with color, he's good with design, he's good with like color enhancement. You know, he does like almost everything, and he is like good with photography, and that's something that, you know, I feel that every barber needs to be as well-rounded as an individual. So to see Los Cutted and the work he puts out, that's just super dope to me. And then the fifth barber that I would say that I look up to is gonna be, now it's hard for me to you know, get the top 5 in there, but I think, you know, 360 Jeezy had a lot to do with me learning haircuts and stuff like that when I was in school, going to school for hair. So those are the 5 barbers that I look up to. So now the 10th question that we do have, had to switch locations because we had people start coming in the shop and it got a little bit noisy. But number 10, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where I see myself in 5 years is going to be, I want to be able to attain home ownership by then. So that's hopefully within the next year to 2 years, personally. And then hopefully the channel has grown a lot more than it has already, and it's constantly growing. So I'm just thankful for that. So I want the YouTube channel grown at least, you know, in 10 years I could see, I don't know, 20,000 subscribers. Like, I don't think that's a hard number to see you in 5 years. I just want to be able to reach and just help more people in this career field, and give what advice I can to people who are hungry for, you know, information in this career field, who are hungry to cut hair and to continue in this craft that, you know, we all love. So I hope you enjoyed this Q&A. If you have any more questions, you know, drop them down in the comments. It could be anything. It could be what kind of sandwich I like, what's my favorite music. It really don't matter. I'll answer all the questions that you guys send. Just send those to me. Drop them down in the comment section, or follow me at Jayblends_ on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys got a little bit more insight into my life. And I appreciate everybody who is subscribed to the channel. Thank you for your support. I truly appreciate it. Like I said, follow me at Jayblends_ on Instagram. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. Until next time.